So I leave that therapy, and a couple mornings later, I wake up and I'm like, is that a song in my head? I hear the melody, I hear the lyrics, I know the name. Like it's a fully formed song in my brain. And I was like, wow. So I wake up and I go to the piano and I write my first song. Just comes out, everything. It's all there. This goes on for a year. And I pretty much write a song, like 5 songs a week for a year.
I'm chatting with Nadia Ackerman today. I hope you enjoy our chitty chat. Hello, how are you? You okay? Need a hug? Oh, feel that? Did anyone catch Terry Gross on 50 Years of Fresh Air? She was interviewed by Sam Fragroso. She's someone I professionally appreciate. I look up to the way she conducts an interview. They both have such smooth, warm voices. She has talked with thousands of musicians, actors, and creatives, and she said the most successful people have a gift and that they work hard to then put it out there. My friends, listeners, subscribers, the rest of us must embrace mediocrity. I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. Personally, I'd never want to be famous. Ugh, I need my privacy. Privacy, darlings. I want to get off social media. I do. It's a cesspool of SH1T out there. But I still have to advertise this thing, this chat sessions, these couch sessions. So please do follow me on Insta. No One in Particular podcast. That's with a number 1, a numerical 1. We went to the state fair over the weekend. America! Very American. I think my family, we were in the minority as far as weight. No judgment, just a visual observation. A pumpkin weighing almost 2,000 pounds won first place. What did they feed it? What was in the soil, and how the bloody hell do you transport a thing like that? It was like as big as one of those Portaloos, but obviously not as tall. It's obviously roundish. What are they feeding that thing? Nadia Ackerman,
Hi.
thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Let's tell the listeners a bit about you. You are an artist, a singer, songwriter. You've produced 7 albums. Your latest is called Coconut Bunny Cake. You've done national jingles, including UPS. Did you do Daisy, the sour cream dollop of Daisy? Was that you?
No, I've done other things like dog food.
You have appeared on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and Saturday Night Live. I always look for you when they cut to the musical guest. See if you're in the back there somewhere. You have been on Good Morning America, and you've been the backing vocalist for Sting and Trudy's Rainforest Benefit Concert. Is that a biannual event?
It's done.
Oh, that's
It's over.
horrible.
I did it I think I did about 10 concerts with that. It was life-changing. It was amazing. I got to sing with some idols and it was pretty cool.
You're also an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You hand draw famous New York landmarks and adorable little creatures in a simple, whimsical style. You now have a store in JFK Airport.
Mhm.
I remember you had a store in Dumbo,
Yeah.
and you do various pop-ups, Christmas markets and all that. And with each artwork, the customer can download a song of yours.
Yeah, so if they buy like one of the music prints, there's lyrics on the back and a free download code to have the song.
You're so
Yeah.
driven.
I don't know what I am. Something.
No, you're definitely naughty. Come on, you're so driven. What do you think drives you?
I just love creating. I love making something out of nothing. I love just that process of like starting with a blank page or just like empty air, and you write a song or you draw a picture, and it's like it's amazing. It's such a great feeling, and it's like endless. And yeah, just I'm very, very, very lucky to be able to do that for a living and for my life and to make money from it. And I'm very lucky.
I don't know if I'd call it luck. I'd call it hard work.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work, and I work hard all the time, but I am really lucky that what I've been doing and what I do resonates with so many people. I've been lucky, but you know, I just keep going.
How old were you when you started singing? 6 or 7?
No, I wasn't singing then. I didn't start singing till 14.
14.
Yeah, which is considered old.
Really? 14.
Yeah, because most people who are, professional singers, like they're singing when they're singing at 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, like doing things. I was singing in my bedroom, but I didn't come out of my room until I was 14. I was too shy.
Yeah, I was talking to a guest, Mikey McGuire, Irish studio engineer musician. He said, yeah, he started playing the guitar at 14, and he considered that late in the game.
I mean, I think 14 is a great time to start because you've got like a level of maturity. Singing is like a really massive situation. It's like there's a lot of layers and a lot of things involved, and yeah, it's very like it's so vulnerable. It's like you may as well just be on stage in the nude.
How do you
Yeah.
prepare for that to get on
Like
stage?
now,
Or in the beginning and now, has it changed?
oh yeah, when I first started, I was so nervous, like my knees would knock together. I wasn't very confident, and the nerves really messed me up for a long time. Now, I don't even care. I just get up there and sing. Like it's so different, so different. I don't care. Now it's just like I brush my teeth, I go on stage, I go on national television, whatever. It's very strange, but it's years and years and years and years of performing, and I think the nerves was just low self-esteem, and I wasn't confident, yet. So
Why do you think you had low self-esteem? Was it just part of being young or?
yeah, I don't know. It's something I've always had. Don't really know where it comes from. I guess I need to do more therapy. I think too, like growing up in Australia, Australia was very there's a thing called the tall poppy syndrome where, poppies grow really tall. And so like in Australia, it's like if you get too big for your boots or you're too good at something, Australians want to like chop you down, like, like settle down. So there was this thing that I always sort of had in the back of my mind that I can't be too good, or because I'll get teased or hassled, or people will say you love yourself. It was a really big thing back then, and that's why I didn't come out of my room till I was 14, and also it's why I left Australia because I was just like I can't do the things I have in my mind.
Yeah, it's similar to the crabs in a bucket metaphor. Did you come from a musical family?
Both my parents are very musical. So my mum was a soprano opera singer, and she quit when she married my dad and had 4 kids. She never sang again, but she was in. My parents are originally from South Africa, and they're Afrikaans, and she would sing in all the churches in South Africa in all different languages, and she was drop dead gorgeous and had this beautiful soprano voice. And then my dad was just one of those people who was just like painfully musical. Like he had ear for harmony. He could like hear a piece by Mozart and then go to the piano, and like an hour later he'd have it all sorted out. Like he could just play by ear. He could play guitar, and he was just like kind of oozing music. He was so musical. He didn't do anything professionally, but he played piano at home, played guitar at home, and he had a room in the house that was his music room, that he had 2 huge electrostatic speakers that he'd made because he was an electrical engineer.
Okay, wow, gifted family of musicians for sure. So my intel might be incorrect, but didn't you win a jazz singing competition? Were you into jazz? Is that what you listened to mostly?
Mostly I grew up with 70s pop, I guess. And so the pop music was really in there. But when I was 14, I was where I grew up on the northern beaches of Sydney. There was a local shopping centre called Warringah Mall, and They had a talent quest. I think it was like every Saturday for like a couple of months. And then, they had all the heats and then they have the semi-final and the grand final. And I would go every year and want to be in it so badly. But, I was still singing in my bedroom and hadn't come out of the closet yet to tell anyone I was a singer. So I was taking, I've been taking dancing lessons since I was a child. So I would do the talent quest, but as a dancer. And my older sister Marika was also dancing in the talent quest, and she was an incredible dancer, and I was not. I had like really tight hamstrings, and she could do the splits. I couldn't touch my toes. It was hilarious. And she was 3 years older than me, but she would, oh my gosh, she would dance and she would get a place. And I mimed. The one I really remember is I mimed to "Hey Big Spender" by Shirley Bassey.
Oh, I love that song.
So I had like a chair, and my mum made us outfits, and I had like a feather in my hair, and I did this dance around the chair, but I mimed. But I wanted to sing, but I was too afraid. And I was young. I was like, I think at that point I was 12. So anyway, I didn't get a place, and Mareka, I think she got all the way to the grand final, and I was so jealous. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was after that that I was like, well, you know what? There's something that they can't do that I can, and that's sing. So I was like, forget the dancing and the splits and the high kicks. I don't care about those. I can sing. So at 13, I went back to the Talent Quest and watched again. I didn't compete, but there was this woman called Jenny Lee, and she had a troupe of singers that she was like a singing teacher, and she had all these singers that were in the Talent Quest, and they were really good. So, like, literally at 13, I went backstage and I found Jenny Lee and I said, hey, are you a singing teacher? And she was like, yeah. And I said, I want singing lessons with you. I want to be like those girls on the stage. And she's like, great. So, like, it kind of blows my mind that already at 13, I was like tenacious and just like, I want something. I knew to just go and ask that woman, and I went and asked her.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, she gives me her information, and I lie to my parents and say I'm just going to the mall, and I get on the bus and I go to Jar Music was the name of her school. I had all these colored steps up to the door. And I went in and had my first singing lesson. I'd saved all my money. I had a part-time like casual job. So I saved all my money. I paid for it myself. And uh, she asked me a lot of questions, and then she was like, sort of testing where I was at. And then she said, oh, can you just sing me a song a cappella, which means with no music? And I said, yeah, sure. She goes, all right, what would you like to sing? And I said, oh, The Rose by Bette Midler. So she's like, great.
That's a big song.
So I just started singing The Rose, and, perfect pitch. And this is like my first singing lesson. I've got vibrato naturally. I had tone. Like, it was just all there. I don't know how. And I finished singing, and she was just like, I really hate people like you. Because I really wanted to impress her. And she said, you're a natural. You're a natural. Okay. So I had a few lessons with her, and then she put me in some talent quests. So I started doing talent quests around. We have these clubs in Australia called RSL and Leagues clubs, and they're like retired servicemen's leagues clubs and football clubs. And they're huge, and they have like poker machines and huge restaurants, and they have a big auditorium where they have music, and they would do these talent quests where you would show up with charts that she would provide you with, and there's a live band, and you have to talk through your music with the band, and then you go on stage and you perform 3 songs. So I started doing this at, I think I had my first talent quest at 15.
Could you choose the songs?
Yeah, she had a cabinet full of songs. Like, and they were like, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? And, it's like just kind of songs that everyone kind of knows. So I started doing the talent quests, and then after a couple of months of that, I went into one of my lessons with her, and she said, oh, so I would like to hire you to be a backing singer in my band. I was like, because she then discovered that I had this ear for harmony, and she could play any note and I could just sing any harmony, and she was like, oh my gosh. So she hired me at 15 to sing in her band called Jenny and the Jets, and it was cabaret band, and it played all the clubs. So like Friday and Saturday nights, they were sneaking me in the back because I was underage, and I was like I was gigging at 15, and that's really how it started. But through that, I discovered some jazz standards, and I didn't know what they were, but I was really drawn to them. And I would sing these standards at the talent quest, and all the girls are singing Whitney Houston and all these like bubblegum pop, and I'm singing God Bless the Child and Summertime. And after about 2 years of doing this, a judge came up to me. I got all the way to the grand final, which was such a big deal because I would just never get through. Like everyone was just like, this girl's weird. She sings weird songs. She has a weird sounding voice. She's odd. And then one year I just got all the way to the grand final in a very big quest, Petersham RSL. And I didn't get a place, but at the end of the night, a judge came backstage to me and she said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" She said, "You don't belong here." She said, "This is cabaret. You're a jazz singer." And I was like, "Jazz singer?" She's like, "Yeah." She said, "Listen, do yourself a favor. Don't walk back into these clubs ever again. Go out, go to the city, find yourself a trio, like piano, bass, drums, get yourself a jazz band, and start doing venues around the city singing jazz." And I was like, "Okay." So I took her advice, and I never went back to the talent quests. And I got a new singing teacher who was actually a jazz singer, and then the rest, they say, is history.
Yeah, sometimes it works like that. We don't know our skills and talents. It takes other people to recognize those in us. Plus, you were so young anyway. How did you end up singing jazz in Korea?
But that's how I got to Korea, because then I had this little jazz trio and I was playing around the city, and there was a drummer called Simon Barker, and he would organize these gigs in Korea where you'd go for 6 months and you'd play 7 nights a week for 6 months. And he was looking for a singer to go with his trio. And my singing teacher recommended me, and he came to see me at a show and said, "You want to come to Seoul?" And I was like, "Sure."
7 nights a week for 6 months? That's a lot. How old were you at this time?
21. And I went to Seoul and I did that contract, and I just never came back.
Okay, so you were out doing cabaret in your, early teens, and then you finally found your voice as a jazz singer. Through this time, were your parents supportive of your singing career?
My mum didn't want to know about it, and she completely ignored the whole thing.
Why do you think she reacted that way?
I think she was envious about the singing. She wasn't singing and I was. And I was like, I'm going to make a career out of this. I'm not going to get married and have 4 kids. I'm going to go for it. And I think there was like a bit of friction there for her and me. I didn't realize, but she was having a very hard time with it, and she wouldn't acknowledge the singing at the start. My dad was like, "Go, Nachi!" And sometimes he would drive me, and sometimes he would come, and he'd come to the talent quest and be screaming up the back, "Go, Nachi!" You know, yeah, but then he died when I was 17. So, I lost my cheerleader. But yeah, so yeah, mum was not into it, and then dad was into it. And then mum slowly came around, but it took a while. Yeah.
Must have been very hard for you and your family to lose your dad early on like that.
It broke me. It broke me. Took me a good 20 years to recover. It really, yeah, it broke me. But it's I don't think there's uh any great time to lose a parent, but 17 was pretty rough, and we lost our house, we lost our family business, like we lost everything. So it was like suddenly at 17, I'm doing my last year of high school. I'm about to sit for my HSC, the big exams that you go to school for your whole life for. And my dad dies like 7 weeks before. And yeah, and suddenly, we don't have a house, and we just lost everything. And the family business that I worked in. We had a fish and chip shop on the beach that was gone, so I lost my job. Like I lost everything at 17, and and
And your biggest supporter.
and my biggest supporter. And I really sort of grew a very hard shell that took a long time to soften. But I needed that. I needed it to survive and to be able to keep going because I had plans. I learned a lot about life at 17. That, because I was there when he passed away. So I actually saw him die. And so when you see someone die, you suddenly you're just like, oh man, like this is fleeting. We like you don't know how long you're here for, and you're here one day and the next day you're not, and you literally leave your body. And I was just like to see that at 17, like just really kind of propelled me into this like mega overdrive of just go, 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 because you don't know when your time's up.
Yeah, I remember my husband toured with you when you were doing a tour of Australia, and he said you're just nonstop, and it got to a point where you had to get a steroid shot because you would just kind of run yourself down.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I got the worst laryngitis you could ever imagine. And it was like the big show in my hometown. And I went to the doctor and I said, I know that I'm not supposed to sing on this. It was like, just do what you have to do. I don't care.
It's
I have to
showtime.
sing. Yeah. The voice, held up. But as soon as the show was done, it was like, oh, that was great. Yeah. But I don't operate like that anymore. Thank goodness. But,
I
all the
would say
time.
when I knew you in New York, you were probably the most driven person I'd ever met.
I had a fire under my ass for sure, burning hot. And it's burning, it's still burning hot, but I can control it now. I can decide when to turn it on and off, and when I need it and when I don't.
When did you realize that you could actually control it?
I mean, honestly, this is going to sound crazy, but only last year. I think I turned 50 and I was like,
What motivated you, or how did it come about that you started drawing?
it's kind of a long story, which I'll try and cut short because it's hard. Like I probably should be writing a book because there's so much, and it's just I don't know how to put it in a little packet. But long story short, which is hilarious how I start things and like an hour later we're still going. Long story short, I had a lot of childhood trauma, and also mixed in with the death of my dad, which I never processed. I didn't have a therapist or go to therapy in Australia. That was not a thing you did. So in my early 30s, I had a breakdown, or what I like to call my breakthrough, and that presented itself as an epileptic seizure. And I'm not epileptic. But basically, the lid just came off. Like my body was like, we can't hold any of this in anymore. You have to look at it or you're going to die. Like you're just going to die if you do not deal with all of this trauma. So, yeah, I ended up in a psychiatric hospital. And I was only there for one day because I convinced them. I knew that I was not going to get better in there. I was so freaked out that that's where they took me. And I convinced them that I will be okay. I'm not a danger to myself, and that I can, will get proper help outside of this hospital. And so they let me go. And I was a severe migraine sufferer, so I thought that this whole thing was just migraine because I have had migraines that have looked like seizures before, and a lot of strange visual things, losing my vision and things like that. So I thought this was just migraine. Though deep down inside, I knew that it was emotional, and I had to look at it, but I just still didn't want to. So I went to a migraine clinic on Fifth Avenue, and my partner at the time had taken videos of these episodes that I would have that were kind of like mini seizures. And And when I'd come out of them, I'd be in like a sort of a catatonic state where there'd just be no one home. So, which I came to learn was dissociative disorder that I was suffering from.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, for the listeners out there, dissociative disorder, a mental health condition that involves experience loss of connection between thoughts, memories, feelings, surroundings, behavior, and identity. This is serious stuff. So what did you do?
So I went to this migraine clinic, and she's like, "Well, yes, you are a migraine sufferer, and all this stuff does lead to migraine. You are a migraine sufferer, but this is not migraine." And she said, I think you need to do some EMDR. And I know a therapist who could help you, who worked with a lot of people from 9/11, and she's really good at trauma and childhood trauma. So I was like, oh, God.
What's the EMDR?
It's rapid eye movement therapy. So it's deprocessing and reprocessing. Also, they call it like brain spotting. So it's like a type of therapy where you actually get to the part of your brain where the trauma is sitting and causing the problems, and you can kind of rewire your brain. So you basically trick your brain and change the pathway of the trauma. So, I can't undo what happened to me, but I can trick my brain and change the way it thinks about it or feels about it. So yeah, I ended up in EMDR therapy, which I did for 7 years.
Wow.
I had a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do, and it saved my life. I was suicidal before all of this, and I was really struggling also with alcohol, and just like I was a mess on the inside. On the outside, I was like, I got this, I'm good, I'm going, I'm doing things, I'm achieving all this stuff. But on the inside, I was absolutely broken, just a mess. So yeah, so I did the EMDR, and then through that process, the first like 9 months, and at this point I'm 30, I think I'm like 32, 33, somewhere around there. And I had never written a song in my life. I was a jazz singer, so I was singing jazz standards. So I'd never written a song. I did art in high school and I was good, but I never, after year 12, I never did any art ever again. So I wasn't an artist. And after the 9 months of therapy, she said, I want you to take a break. And, the therapy's going to keep working while you're not here. I want to see you next year. We'll start again. But do understand that as the time goes on and you're not here, your brain is going to be processing, and strange things might happen. And I was like, okay. And she said, you'll see. So I leave that therapy, and a couple mornings later, I wake up and I'm like, is that a song in my head? I hear the melody, I hear the lyrics, I know the name. Like it's a fully formed song in my brain. And I was like, wow. So I wake up and I go to the piano and I write my first song. Just comes out, everything. It's all there. And I was like, I think I just wrote my first song.
Wow, this is fucking magic. It's like a creative genie has been released. I mean, so you wake up every morning? Like how long did this go on for?
This goes on for a year. And I pretty much write a song, like 5 songs a week for a year.
This is wild. This is extraordinary. The brain is extraordinary. From tragedy comes this great gift.
Yeah, it's really weird. So I pretty much wrote my first 2 records in that first year. Like I can play piano to find chords and the sounds I'm looking for, but I don't really know. I can't play the piano. Like you wouldn't hire me for a gig on piano. So it was like I had the way that I do things, and nothing stopped me. And then I would record the music on a little speaker, and then I'd take it to a musician and say, this is the song, let's bring it to life. So that's how all that started. And then through that process, about a year later, after all the songs came out, I then started seeing my songs as drawings. So while I'm still getting these downloads of these complete songs, now what was coming with them was this pencil drawing. And I was like, really? I don't know how to draw. Like, this is crazy. And this voice was like, "Yeah, you do. You know how to draw. So just draw every song on the record." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, serious?" And so the voice was like, "You're going to buy this paper." It took me to the art store. It made me buy paper, maybe buy pencils. It was very specific about how I was going to do it. And I sat down, and within 2 weeks, I did a drawing a day. It was like I was possessed. I don't even know. I look at the drawings now. I don't even know who did them. I'm just like, I don't know who did that, but I did. So I just started drawing my songs, drawing my music, and that led to Nachi. But it was kind of, I didn't mean it, and yeah, the drawings then turned into greeting cards. And this voice was like, "Yeah, so what you're going to do now on the back of the card, you're going to have lyrics and a free download code. So you're selling your music dressed up as a greeting card." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool." So I started doing that. And then once I had my first product, I was like, "Now what do I do?" And so I just started doing the markets around New York City on the
Okay,
weekends.
okay. Let's slow down a bit. I don't know what EMDR is. I'm doing a bit of research right now as we're talking. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So a psychotherapist helps you get through trauma you've experienced by guiding you through eye movements or other forms of bilateral stimulation like tapping or sounds.
Yeah. So basically, when I'd go into a session, we just start talking like a normal session. Then while I'm talking, I might stumble across something. And then it's like, oh, let's have a look at that. So when we decide that we're going to then do some EMDR on something I've brought up, so you wear some headphones. You can choose like ocean or forest, like, but what it does is it pulsates left, right, left, right, left, right. So it's opening up both hemispheres of your brain at the same time, which we always have one or the other open. And then you put on some glasses, and the one side has like this eye covered and this eye's open, or there's another pair of glasses where this side's closed and this side is open. So just the eye that's not got the glasses on, she'll bring a point around, which you follow with the eye that's not covered. And when you get to a place where you're like, oh, it's too painful, that's where you stop, and that's where you process the trauma. You take the glasses off and you focus on that point. And when you're processing, I didn't know this, obviously, I found out later, but when you're processing, your eyes go like this: left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. And you're staring at this point, and you're back at that time. So like, I'm back at my dad's deathbed, or I'm back to something else that happened. You're in that moment.
So all your senses were engaged in this experience. Your senses, smell, everything. You were there.
You're there, and it's like so painful. And your therapist will say, like, where are you right now? What's happening? And you will say, I'm at his bed. He's going to die, or whatever. And then basically what happens is you go through the trauma again, and then you change the outcome. So you change how it was dealt with. So for me, like with my father's passing, it wasn't dealt with. There was no comfort. There was, my mother was obviously an absolute mess. She'd been with my dad since she was 13. So there was no one to lean on. There was no therapy. So couldn't process it. So what we did, whilst I was in that time, in that doing that session, we brought in my ideal mother, or somebody else that I felt comfortable with, or this was comforting to me, like an auntie or whatever. And we would have them comfort me, or change how it was dealt with. Then she will ask you, after you're all done, she'll ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, if I ask you about your dad dying, how do you feel? And it's unbelievable. Like when I first got in there, it'd be like an 11 out of 10, like can't even talk about it. And then I'd say, after that session, I'd say 7, It's a 7. And then so she's like, all right, so we've got more work to do. So then next time I came in, we'd do more work on it till eventually we got it down to 1 or nothing.
You know, this is science. This is based in science. I want the listeners to understand that this is not, you know, some woohoo stuff. This is real. So you basically have replaced that horrific memory and the feeling of being alone with something that you can handle. You have rewired your brain.
It physically changes the pathway of your brain, and you're tricking your brain because you can't undo what happened to you. So you trick your brain. Now goes down this different road instead of this constant, he died, he died, he died. You know, it's like,
What does this voice sound like in your head when you went through this, when you woke up with all these songs? Did it sound like your dad?
no, there's no actual tone. There's no tone. It's just like information. I just get information. It's very strange. I mean, I can hear the music, but I can't explain it. I really don't know where it comes from, and it's like it's always there. It's just always there. Like I never have to worry about having like a creative block. My whole thing is like, just hold on. I don't have enough time to get everything out. Just and one, you know, I dream a lot. I have very vivid dreams, and I get a lot of information from dreams. I've written songs from dreams. I've done drawings from dreams, and I remember this one time I had a dream that I turned up at a huge like body of water, like a lake, as far as your eye can see. Like it just went forever. And I stood at the top of it, like just with my ankles in. And when I looked out at the water, bobbing up and down were all the ideas that I had still yet to come to. And they were going as far as the eye could see. There was like lyrics and drawings and songs, and they were all just bopping up and down on the water. And I remember waking up from that thinking, I don't have to worry about running out of ideas because I just saw where they're all hanging out and it's in this huge lake. And they're all just there for me to
That's
just,
just incredible. It's magical is what it is.
it's like, yeah, I don't know any different. And it's always been there, you know,
Yeah.
it's weird.
When you had these, well, what you thought was epileptic fits, what did that look like? Were you convulsing? Were you on the floor convulsing or you
Yeah,
just
I had the ambulance come and tie me to a chair, take me to the hospital. Yeah, arms, legs, bad, really bad.
what was in your mind at the time? You just
I would be traveling down a dark green tunnel, going through it at like 100 miles an hour. Like, yeah, and I'd be traveling through that to my death, and I'd be screaming because I was like, I'm gonna die
so you're experiencing an overwhelming fear of death?
of having to face my trauma. Like, if I look at my trauma, I'm going to die. You know, that's why I pushed it down for 30 odd years because I just could not look at it.
Not sure who said this, but I remember this quote: "Your feelings aren't going to kill you, but trying to avoid them might."
Yeah, I faced it. I faced it. I'm still here. So, but it, you know, on the other side of it, there are a lot of gifts, like all this music and art, you know.
Talk to me about the rainforest
Yeah.
benefits that Sting and Trudy put together. You mentioned in the beginning of our conversation that you met some of your idols there.
Well, one of the best ones was Shirley Bassey came and she sang Goldfinger and she sang Hey Big Spender. And I went up to her and I was like teary and I said, you don't understand how big of a deal this is because when I was 12, I was too shy to sing and I mimed to your song, Hey Big Spender, and I danced with a chair and a feather in my head. And I said, and now I'm here on stage and you're singing this song. And I just said to her, you know, and she was so, so lovely and kind. And, you know, she's Welsh. So she was just like, and she loved my story.
Oh, Nadia, that's lovely. Oh, I'm tearing up. Oh, props to the Welshies out there. My mum's Welsh, so I'm a bit biased, but that's wonderful story.
Annie Lennox too was a highlight. The Eurythmics did one of their last gigs together ever at the Rainforest. And wow, is she a nice lady? Wow, wow. Also Welsh, right?
Yeah, Scottish.
Sorry, Annie. Yeah, very nice lady and so nice to sing with. I'd say my highlight was singing with James Taylor, who's also incredibly lovely. He took us, we were doing In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. And he took us into like a little room. It was me, and there was like 6 of us singers, and him and his guitar. And he played and sang, and we all sang our harmonies and our lines, and he'd be like, "Yep, that's right. Yeah, no, start here and sing this line." And that for me was like, I was like, I can't believe I'm in a tiny room right now. James Taylor is like, he's right there. He's playing his guitar and singing, and I'm singing harmonies with him. This is insane. So there was a lot of very like pinch me moments. Like the first time I stepped out on Carnegie Hall, I was like, I'm just this girl from Alambi Heights who wanted to be in the talent quest, and now I'm at Carnegie Hall. Like, how did this happen? How did this happen? I don't know.
You have a gift, love, and you put in the work.
Yeah, I did. Even so, when you arrive at certain junctures in your life, you're just like, how did I get here? Like, even my store at JFK, every now and then I'm just like, how did I get a store at the airport? Like, this is crazy, you know?
Yeah, talk to us about that. How did that transpire?
So I've always wanted to be at the airport because I've got this very touristy line, and a lot of my customers are tourists. All the markets, I'd have people actually, when they're arriving, they come and find me, to buy again or whatever. I just assumed that I couldn't afford the rent at the airport, so I never checked. And then January of not last year, but the year before, I finished the Bryant Park Holiday Market, and I was like, you know what? All you do is talk about the airport, and you've never checked. So I get online and I just Google, how do I get a shop at JFK? Like that simple. And up comes small business opportunity with JFK, Terminal 8, the Port Authority, and American Airlines, and URW, which is Westfield Shopping. And they're looking for 6 small businesses, Brooklyn based, minority owned. And I was like, tick, tick, tick. I'm a woman. I'm in Brooklyn. It's my company. So I filled out the form. I had to get letters of recommendation. It was almost like getting a green card. It was really extensive. And I filled out the application. I handed it in. And then I thought, there is no way I'm getting this. There's no way. Like everybody's going to want these shops. So they were giving away 2 stores and then 4 kiosks, and I wanted a store, so I applied for the store. And super cheap rent. The store was turnkey, so they built it for you. You just walked in, put all your stock in, and brought your front desk and whatever, and that was it. You were good to go. So yeah, that was January. And then July, about 2 days before my 50th birthday, I got an email just saying, congratulations, you've been chosen. And I was had so let it go that I was like, chosen for what? Like, I didn't enter anything. And so I opened the email and it's like, we've given you a store at JFK. By November we were open, because I wasn't expecting that to happen. And I had 5 holiday markets going at the same time as opening JFK. Oh my gosh, it was intense. Really intense. So yeah, I'm there right now. I'm there till 2027.
The universe was like, Nadia can handle it. If anyone can, Nadia can. Tell me about the textiles you feature in your store. I know when you had a store in Dumbo, they were not in that store.
Yeah, another funny story. When I had the store in Dumbo, I'd always wanted to try and get my things on textiles, but I cannot sew to save my life. Like, I did not get that gift. Sewing or knitting, no, 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 no. And it was the same thing as like wanting to be at JFK. It's just like, well, you've never asked anybody, you just want this thing, but you never inquire. And I had a customer come in to my store, an Indian woman. Her name was Sapna, and we started talking. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm visiting from India." And I was like, "Oh, I'm dying to get to India. I really want to get my stuff on product. I see like embroidery, like my stuff embroidered on like pillows and things like that." And I said, "But I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how to get there." And she said, "Oh, well, I'm a textile designer. That's my job." And I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah. So why don't you just come over? I'll pick you up from the airport." We talked on WhatsApp for a year, the whole year. And then finally, after that year, I texted her. I said, "I'm ready to come." And I went to India, like totally blind, I had no idea what I was going to. You know, we've had this relationship for gosh, nearly what 8 years. So she would come here, then I'd go back, then she'd come here, then I'd go there. And it was just she'd stay at my place, I'd stay at hers. And then I got her into some markets here, and it's just been this incredible relationship. Yeah, really lucky. But again, it's just like I just asked, that's it. I just gotta ask. Oh, what's gonna happen? If it says no, then you're like, okay, next. If you have these gifts, then you have to use them, like, and just work it out. You just got to work it out.
That's great advice. Don't be afraid to ask. What else you got?
You got to really just believe in yourself, and I had a vision, and I could see the things that I wanted. I could taste it, and it was just like, well, no one's going to make it happen for me. I have to do it myself, and away I go.
I remember the first time I met you, Nadia. My mum was visiting at the time. We're walking past the living room, and out there was advertised Nadia Ackerman, singer-songwriter. And it was an earlier show, and Mum and I were like, "Yeah, let's go in. Sounds amazing." And we sat down, and you started singing the song about a dog you loved who died, and Mum and I were fucking bawling. We were in tears. It was so emotional.
Wow. That's a pretty amazing memory that you got.
You had long red hair at the time too.
Yes, it was my red hair. It was my Ocean Master stage.
Yeah, and from there we got friendly. I'd always see you around, performing, all the other musician friends we had. And my husband met you, and I was like, "Yeah, I already know Nadia."
And then Steve Inner.
Blow Up Hollywood, those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the crew.
It's like another life, isn't it? Yeah, I look back at photos even from just like 2012, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, different life.
Yeah, those were the days. So we're running out of time. I ask all my guests the same question. What moves you? What's on your playlist? What are you listening to lately?
I love Chopin. So I listen to a lot of Chopin. Gosh. Marcus Mumford. At the moment I'm really into Maro. I'm really into Paper Planes.
Oh, yeah.
Fruit Bats. Love Fruit Bats.
Never heard of them.
Oh my gosh, you would love Fruit Bats. I love Elbow. You got to check out Fruit Bats. I think you would dig them. And let's just throw in one more that I've been into lately. Actually, I really love 07. They have like they always have like a different artist that they're playing with.
07 and Fruit Bats. Okay, I'll check them out. Well, it's been so lovely chatting to you, Nadia.
Can't wait to see what you put together here.
Thank you. Thanks, my love.
Bye.